the Hattrick Life podcast. Hello friends, welcome to this third episode of the Hattrick Life podcast. This week we are going to Germany and we talk to MauMau for the win, or Gus Hiddink as he's called in Hattrick. We talk about crossover communities in Hattrick. We talk about how it is to be a Hattrick content creator, because MauMau is also streaming his league adventures with his friends on Twitch. And we talk about the possibilities of recruiting more managers from these crossover communities. So let's jump right into it and see what we got to talk about in the third episode. Welcome. So here we are talking to MauMau for the win, another Hattrick manager, this time checking in from Germany. MauMau is also a fellow Hattrick content creator. He's been making YouTube stuff for Hattrick a bit, and has mainly been streaming Hattrick on the Twitch platform, reporting from his friends' games and his own primary team, Ockershausen. And that's actually what inspired me to start streaming in the beginning. So I'll have to give you credit on that. You were like a driving factor for me to get into streaming in relation to Hattrick, at least. So that was a nice inspiration to get from you, Mau. So I'm pleased to invite you onto the show here, and thank you so much for participating, I should say. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting.
All right. So first off, I was following your stream yesterday, and I saw that you were winning away from home, winning 3 games out of 3 so far in the season with your primary team, Ockershausen. Are you on the brink of a run towards the top of the German pyramid, or?
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. I mean, the season is so far going very well, but it's still complicated because we have in our league many really good teams. I mean, it's only the 6th league, so from the bottom is like the 2nd league, and we were gathering together basically from the community. And everyone is really excited and trying to do better every season. And it's really hard to promote to the next league. So basically there are now it's 4 teams. Last season it was like 5 teams who would be able to participate in the 5th league, who are strong enough, but only 1 team can go up. And sometimes this does not even happen. So I still have strong competition in the league.
Okay, so you end up blocking the way for each other, kinda.
Yes, kind of. Yeah.
I did the same. I actually play in 2 Danish leagues where we've tried to find people of the same age with their team, and then strength-wise we will be kind of close as well. And in the beginning, it's kind of good because you don't get a promotion and then you get battered in the next tier. But at some point, it also gets kind of hard to promote. So it's like, I guess there's 2 sides of the coin in what you can earn from having a nice division like that. But the social side of things is just amazing when you play with a lot of friends and a lot of people that you've established connections with. So that's fun to hear. All right. So I already touched on it a little, but I saw you stream and inspired me to do some of the same things for my own league. So you seem to have established a little community within Hattrick. And if I'm not mistaken, you do cast from around 3 leagues or so each Saturday. How did this all come into, like, how did you get into Hattrick, and how do you put a little community within the game? Because it seems quite interesting.
Yeah, it's I mean, I got into Hattrick already in 2006, so I started really early during the World Cup back then. This is why my manager name is Gus Hiddink, because Gus Hiddink was the coach of Australia, and they performed super well. I think they only lost versus Italy, and it was really very close. But yeah, so I was impressed. This is why Gus Hiddink is my name as a manager, and I have to keep it. I would have loved to when I restarted like 2 years ago. I would have loved to change my name into MauMau, but I couldn't. So I kept going with Goose Hitting. It's fine. Yeah, and before I started again with Hattrick, I was streaming on Twitch already. I'm streaming on Twitch for many years now. I'm not a big streamer or anything, but I had my small community. And yeah, at some point I was just checking for other games to play other games. And so during Corona, because in real life I was coaching a youth club, so a
Oh,
youth
okay.
squad. And we had to stop because of Corona. So basically there was something empty. So I basically had to fill up this coaching stuff. And yeah, I
Okay.
was coming back to Hattrick. We had one stream where, I don't know, I think I was mentioning it. I was just showing it, hey, it's a cool game. And then some people was like, hey, I know this game. I played this before. Hey, how about if we all start together? Maybe in one league.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, let's go. So we had like 2 or 3 people who start, or basically me and someone else were starting, and then other people were just like, oh, I joined too. Oh, I also joined. So we had like 4 or 5 people joining. Was really nice. Was really nice. So this
yeah.
is how it started.
I can imagine. I mean, I used to play Hattrick with my childhood friends, and they did very well, both of them, playing in the top flight in Denmark. And nowadays they don't play, and I'm trying to convince them. But they've spent so much time on Hattrick, especially one of my friends. He played in the top flight and won a few cups in Denmark. And we used to have small get-togethers at the end of the season, drinking beer and grilling in the yard and having fun. It was excellent, and yeah, I kind of miss that. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I played all the way back in 2002 with my first team. Uh, I'm I'm patient enough now to actually appreciate all the aspects of the game. I don't fall into the trap I used to, where I was thinking it's a little slow. To me nowadays, it's perfectly fine. I'm thinking, oh, it's already been another week, and I'm looking at my players, oh, training again. But back then I was like, yeah, when's the next training? When is something going to happen, right? So getting back into it, I seem to remember you mentioned 2006 and you mentioned the World Cup. I think they had some special things back then with the first World Cup in Hattrick being hosted in Japan, South Korea, and I don't know if they could actually do that logistically in the game. Perhaps they did, but then they did the same for 2006 in the World Cup in Germany. And I don't know if they were successful in any way of combining that advertising. It seemed like they were doing more of that back then than they are nowadays, at least. So you used to coach a youth team. That sounds pretty cool. And can I ask what team do you support a team in the Bundesliga? Or?
Yeah, I'm still supporting Borussia Dortmund, even though it's a different story than like 15 years ago. But yeah, I'm still supporting them.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not like a
Would
huge
you?
fan or something. It's not. I'm not going totally
No,
crazy.
no. Were you more into it back in the day?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I get the same feeling. I used to. Well, no, I better say I support Real Madrid since I was 8 years old, 9 years old perhaps. And I mean, with the modern football, I just think it's just too much about money. So it's kind of
Yes.
hard to. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to check up on the game, and oh, they lost. Oh, yeah, whatever. Let's move on. Let's check Hattrick instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct, correct.
All right. Gus Hiddink, by the way, he used to manage Madrid,
Yeah, I know.
and he shaved his beard when they won the Intercontinental Cup final back in 2000 or so, and he had a very big mustache, and he had to shave it. I remember something about Gus Hiddink in that regard, actually.
Yeah.
Just pointing that out. There's a little connection here, I feel. All right. FC Ockershausen. What's the story behind the team name?
There's not really a story behind. I was just basically thinking of creating a new club, so a new name. So I was thinking about doing like where from the city where I come from, or for a city where I live, or where a city where I am working at. So, and it's basically like, man, everyone is doing this. So let me create a team that's not existing in the real world. Um,
Yeah.
and I had one name in mind. And the funny thing is, when I put down the name, I put down Ockershausen, but it was in my mind. I even forgot what it was in my mind. So I was just like FC Ockershausen, and it's like, oh wait, that's not what you wanted to write. Now it's too late. So let's check out if Ockershausen is existing.
Oh,
Unfortunately, it's existing, but it's just a small part of the city. And FC Ockershausen
okay.
is not existing, so it's fine. It's mine. It's only mine.
All right. So it's a suburb of a real town. Okay, so it's actually the opposite of a story. It's
Yes.
in order to try to avoid
I didn't
having a
want to
story.
have a story behind it. I want to create
Oh,
my own
okay,
story,
okay,
basically.
pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, so this is a very new. I saw that you have taken on making a German tutorial on YouTube for Hattrick, and in this whole context, you have created 2 more teams for Hattrick. Could you tell me about those teams?
Yeah, about those teams and the how it started. Basically, because of this community that we started, and I'm not only streaming Hattrick, I'm streaming also Age of Empires, and many people
Yeah.
from the Age of Empires community know me in Germany, and they were basically asking, okay, what is this game? So let's figure it out. Let's try it and give it a try. And many people started. Some people stopped already, unfortunately, and I've people were asking me if I could do a tutorial or something, because we already give a lot of tips in our Discord channel. But yeah, a tutorial would be nice, like to cover all the topics, some small videos. They turn out to get a bit larger than what I wanted, but okay. Yeah, and this is why I thought it's a nice idea. So let's try to get new people into the game,
All
and
right.
to show them how the game is working, because I think almost everyone who is starting with this game is expecting something different. Expecting the way Hattrick is doing what you said is like it's kind of slow, and no one is used to this anymore. So they are not expecting that. And if they go into the details, they're expecting that it works somehow like in reality, or like real football manager, soccer manager, whatever. So that's not the case. So there are some facts that people just need to know, especially at the beginning. So yeah, this is why I started to do this. And therefore, to show it in more detail, I was planning to creating a cup. Then there was this special offer from Hattrick that we can go to Platinum supporter and get two clubs.
Teams, yeah.
And
Yeah,
but one of
clubs.
them is only for 1 year. So I took the one for 1 year for this tutorial, because I think like after 1 year it's basically done. And I took the chance to take a second club, because this was something in my mind with Ockershausen. I'm not 100% on trying to achieve the best out of it, because there's another story behind it that I put basically into Ockershausen. So I'm starting with Union Meckendorf. I hope Meckendorf is not existing. I did not check it out.
Oh,
Sorry, name just came into my mind. And I'm trying to be on my way as much as possible, successful as possible, as fast as possible, going up it through the leagues. So
all
that's what I
right.
do with basically Meckendorf. Meckendorf, trying to make the best out of it. Ockershausen, special story behind it. And the MauMauFTW tutorial, crazy name, is
Yeah.
the club for the tutorial.
Well, at least it's clear what the purpose of the team is. So this is where you play transparently for the channel, and then you show what makes sense to use in the tutorials. So could you share more about your approach towards the top with the Meckendorf?
Yeah, the first approach is, okay, how do I make a lot of money and still trying to get a competitive squad? I think the best way is passing. So I was switching to passing as training.
All right.
And so I don't know if this is really the best, because I think there's like set pieces could also be very good if you know what you're buying. Very good in terms of making money, but of course not very good in terms of making creating a strong squad. So I don't know if this passing is the best option, but yeah, let's find out. So I bought already 16 players in a short time.
Yeah.
trying to get players below like the market price. And yeah, now I'm running out of money. But
Yeah,
let's
you
see.
got to spend
Let's
some to
see.
earn some.
I fast need some yeah, good updates on the training, and then start selling some people. So I would basically try to buy them for a good price, then training like 2, 3 skills in passing, and then sell it again. So that's
We
currently.
in Denmark, and I think in the global community, we call this step trading. From what I've seen others do, and it seems counterintuitive because at least in my a lot of the videos I've produced, I've said playmaking is a core skill of your team, but if you train regularly with normal trainees, you won't be doing very well because a lot of people are actually training playmaking already. But from what I've heard from really experienced managers that I've talked to face at Hattrick Meetups, and I play with in my close community in my leagues, playmaking, step trading, or skill trading is actually very profitable. And another thing that I'm trying myself is if you want a go-to training where you don't have to skill trade and trade a lot but make a lot of money, I would always recommend winger training, and that's what I'm doing at my third team, my second Danish team at the moment, and also what I did with my Danish team initially, because I think the idea of playing competitively fast, not right away, that's probably a little hard, but you need to make a little, you need to have a little in the reserve, or you have some money, and then you start trying to skill trade to the top like that. And I know one of the experienced managers I talked to, he's trying this in an African country. You have to take that into consideration as well. But he's first of all he's building some money, and then he starts training, I think, playmaking and trading his way to the top.
Yeah, maybe I have to
So
rethink it at some point.
yeah, well, at least you've heard there's an alternative that I know experienced managers. I mean, this is managers who's been under 21s managers in Denmark, and like good managers, trustworthy managers. The sources, trust me, bro. But now it's out there. I'll be following at least to make sure that I keep tabs on how it's going with the Meckendorf, because it sounds interesting, and I don't think a lot of people are trying this approach anymore because they know they have to earn a lot of money in order to start out. So I'll be following closely. I can tell you that much. All right. You already said a little about this, but you stream Age of Empires as well, right? And so
Yes.
I was wanting to ask about the crossover between the community in these games, and well, you are recruiting a little from the big community in your case, which is Age of Empires. So you did say something about some people falling away quite fast. How do you have an idea of how successful you are in recruiting, like from a crossover community?
Okay, let me think about this. I mean, at least we have. Okay, one guy was already playing before, so like we have Kickers Emden, we have Blau-Weiß Borsum, we have Sportvereinigung Halle, we have so at least 3. So at least 3 guys from Age of Empires joined Hattrick, and they are now all competing in the same league. Some managers were just coming back. One manager at least was coming back to Hattrick because of the stream.
All right. Do you think it's a viable method to
Yes,
to
absolutely.
find? Because I'm thinking, I know I'm so much into Hattrick that I'm actually thinking, how can I help bring players into the game? Because I don't ever want to see it die. And I see people sign up and then they log in twice because maybe they realize it's not what I thought it was. And so I'm thinking, what kind of games could be a place where you could have a crossover community? I've been streaming a little of Championship Manager 0102, for instance, and I've seen players, oh, I'm trying out Hattrick, and I see the same result I see many other places. People stop quite fast again, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot because they expect something different. I think, I mean, Age of Empires 2 is not anyhow comparable with Hattrick, so it's a totally different game, and it's even like the way of playing Age of Empires is totally different from Hattrick. So still, some people joined just because okay, it's about football, so I like football, and I think the most important ones is they are a little bit older. So like you and me. So like
Yeah.
not young guys. Like for young guys, Hattrick it's really they don't get into it anymore. I think this is because Hattrick is on such a slow pace. What is actually nice, but it's like as you said, like when you started with Hattrick, you could not wait for the next update on the training. Now you're getting a little bit older, and now you enjoy it. So because you still
Yeah.
have your busy life, and then okay, like 1 week per one time per week you have your match, and then you don't have to follow it every day, and it's all going fine if you are offline for 3-4 days. But I think today for younger people they're not used to do this, and it's not fitting to their standard environment. It's more like this, but. On the other side, it clearly shows because some of the people who started with Hattrick and never knew this game before, they are getting really into it and they really love it, and it's possible to get more people into it. But just I think if you play it on your own, yeah, at some point it's getting boring. I think you need to have something. You need to have the community. This was why Hattrick was always strong. It was always because of community. I remember when I was studying, I was so much time in the forums, even if I had to study. So just like, oh, let me read what happened here, what happened there, and always nice people there out there. And back then it was something very special because that was not so, let's say, the internet was not so overquoted as it is now. So it was always a special place. But this is what you need to add somehow. And you need to add it with, the current, how do I say it in English? I don't know how to say it correctly, but it's just like these days you're not typing anything in forums anymore. You're using Twitch, you're using Instagram, you're using YouTube or whatever. So Hattrick needs to get in there, and they're
Yeah.
starting more and more, and that's really important because then
Yeah.
people see that they are part of something bigger or part of community.
Certainly. And in a lot of ways, the internet is a lot more visual now. So
Yes.
you have to be present where it's not just text all the time. Do you think, like, could it be a selling point about Hattrick that it's the other way around now? That everything's been so consume this digital project. It's going fast. You can move. You can grow very fast. Could it be the opposite? So you say, hey, the cool thing about this is you can actually take it slow if you like. Would the perhaps not the youngest of audience, but the ones becoming like us, becoming a little old. Let's just say it.
Yeah, I mean, what Hattrick never should lose is like this unique selling point, I would say, from business perspective. This is very unique, and this is why Hattrick is still existing. This is what I think. It's still existing because it's slow pace, and you don't have any other game like this. At least I don't know it, and I don't want to know. So they should not lose it. But if you think about how much real life time it takes, even if you're really good to go into the first league, I mean, you cannot promote every year. Let's say you can promote every second season. Then it's 14 seasons. That's basically 4 real life years. So how much is changing in your real life within 4 years? I mean, out of Hattrick, everything is going so crazy fast. So yeah, it could be a point to make it a little bit faster. But I don't know how they would be able to manage it because on the other side, it's so awesome to have this one league, one game per week, one season a game per week. So, and you cannot really make the leagues smaller because I feel like 8 is really good, 8 teams per league. I don't know. So,
Luckily, the developers said eight
yeah.
8 leagues, 18 leagues is what we like. I mean, a selling point could be Hattrick. What is constant in your life? Everything else changes, not Hattrick. Yeah.
Part of
All
my
right.
life. Don't change it. It's the one that's still consistent.
Being younger, I was quite young when I started the first time. I always dreamed of going to a Hattrick meetup. We in Denmark we have kind of a small country, so if we place it in one end, basically everyone has a chance to participate, almost. But I never actually got around to do it until I started this time around. And what I've learned from it was I should have gone the first time I wanted, because getting to meet people face to face and talk to them is just wow. It's easy to talk about because people know about the denominations and oh, you are divine, all that stuff. It's quite easy. And I've seen people who you would imagine if they met in real life they would get into a fight if you judge from what they write to each other on the forum. But in the end, they even buy each other beer and they sit and they laugh and have a talk. Oh, you're not as frustrating to talk with as I had imagined from the forum talks. Do you have such things in Germany at all? I mean, it's a big country.
Yes, I know back then they had this one time per year meeting in Germany somewhere. They were always changing the location because, yeah, it's a big country, as you said, so sometimes it's the northern part, sometimes the southern part. I was recently trying to find out where this is this next meeting, but it seems like there are no big meetings anymore, but I may be wrong. But what I found is like a thread where they were just like, hey, you can put all your meetings inside. So there was like, okay, we have I don't know, let's say Hamburg meetings. So everyone who wants to join in Hamburg, we are here, the community, we are going there and there. So basically out of the community, people are starting something more localized. And yeah,
All right.
I'm thinking about doing the same.
I can only
Inviting my
recommend
whole
it.
community to a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, big recommendations since I started going. I cannot wait. And every time the election is up, will they are like the candidates I asked. It's a standard question in Denmark. Will you be hosting a Hattrick meetup if you win the election for if it's the national team or the under 21s? Are you hosting? No, I'm not hosting. You don't get my vote because we need the meetups. So
Oh, crazy. I
yeah,
don't know
it's
if I
kind of.
would if I would have this responsibility. I don't know if I want to have arrange a meetup. It's like, I think if you're responsible for, if I understood you right, you're responsible for the national team, and then you should make this community meetup.
Yeah, well, it's kind of an ongoing joke, but
Okay.
some of the trainers are actually trying to do so, and the thing is, some of them bring it into the campaign. Like I am going to look into setting up a meetup during my campaign, and we would do on a Friday evening. So it's pretty good. We tend to meet at public locations, like at a restaurant and we had a very big meeting. I didn't attend. I wish I had because it sounded awesome with the whole weekend with a football tournament and yeah, totally crazy. And I wish, and my idea is that people do this in other countries, and that's one of the things I want to know about other countries. Do they also do things like this, or do they do something more closely related to how they come together
Yeah.
over a game like Hattrick, for instance?
Yeah, as I said, I'm not totally into it. I think back then they were doing these big meetings, and there were many people were coming, maybe like even 100, 200 or something. And now there are a lot of smaller meetups.
Do you have a favorite Hattrick player? Not a manager, but a player, like a homegrown.
Not at all. Not at all.
That's
I'm
funny because I
I'm
could
not
mention
really.
people from
Yeah.
my old teams, like my winger, my homegrown winger, and yeah. So I would imagine the
Okay, I
people.
basically have what I said is like the story behind or inside Ockershausen. There is this, yeah, now I'm making him a forwarder called Hakan Toshun.
All right.
He used to be a winger when he was coming out of my youth squad. It was kind of funny because, I started the Ockershausen and then, also started youth squad. It's like, okay, let's set everything up to be successful. And then in my youth squad, the first interesting player was Hakan Toshun. He was going to be a good winger. And then it showed up as like, okay, he also has this leadership. And it's like, okay, this will be the first guy that I promote into my squad. And he has a great leadership. So he should be someone who's becoming the coach later. So let's make a great story out of him. It's like the first one getting promoted from the youth squad. He shall become the one with the most games for my club, with the most goals. So I have to make him a forwarder. And later becoming the coach and being the most successful coach ever for Ockershausen. So this is basically the story that I'm building up currently. So he's my favorite player for sure. And it's going well so far. Nice. He's already now 25 and has some nice skills. But I was kind of trying to not push him too much into one skill because then it's getting too expensive because I'm still playing in the lower leagues. So let's see how it's working out. But I plan to train him until he's like 36, 37, whatever, as long as it's possible. And then making him the coach, trying to make the best out of the team. And maybe playing Bundesliga sometime. Who knows?
All right. That would be very nice.
Story then.
So the club legend.
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you turned that around because at first I don't have a favorite player, but you do really have a favorite player actually. That's very nice.
But not from other clubs. So
all right. Did you ever delve into anything regarding the national teams in Hattrick? Do you follow the German national teams?
Unfortunately not, to be honest. I even don't know why exactly. People were asking me to set up streams on Fridays because then the national teams are playing. But it's like, okay, it's always a question of time. And maybe at some point I will do it and then I will get more into it. I don't know exactly why I'm not doing this. Because one of my community members got a really great player from his youth club. So he has potential for the under 21 squad. So if he's going to make it, maybe.
All right. But that could be a direction. Like if someone in your local community actually gets, like, check out my player because he's about to get his first call up and play his first match. Maybe that could be a good way. All I know about the national teams, if I look at it from a Danish perspective, is, man, people tend to go crazy over the national team, at least in Denmark. And the election, and I'm not saying any more about it, but that was Danish elections, and that's a lot of years ago. But hefty stories about people wanting to bribe their way to the national coach seat in Denmark. I'm not even kidding. Ooh. So if you think about it, content, and you don't mind some controversies and a little drama, perhaps that's the way to go if you just want to get things spicy. I'm saying.
I'm sure you will get this very spicy in Germany. If you set up a stream and constantly, because they're also very crazy. As I said, I'm not too much into it, but this is also one of the reasons because, they have a huge team. That's what I think they have. Let's say they have a huge team, maybe I don't know how many people. We're just looking for new players all the time. And if you want to become the national coach in Germany, it's always one guy of a group of people who are into it for many years. So you basically from outside it's hard to come in. But even though they are very experienced, and I think they have so many programs to analyze the opponents, and each little bit is like to find the best way to compete. And so from the outside, I don't know how you even can come in.
Well, I know in Denmark they are always very welcoming to new managers who are into it because they know they look at it as they need new blood because the way they approach it, it's very hard mentally, and it's quite taxing because people are like, "Why did you do this? Why did we lose? How?" And I can only imagine Germany is a big country.
It's the same here. But this is
Because,
also
well,
when I would start streaming this, it's like only two matches from Germany and maybe some more. I mean, on Saturdays, I'm streaming currently 15 matches at once. It's a totally different story because you're talking for yeah, it's not 90 minutes. It's 105 minutes because one team is starting later, and it's you're talking constantly all the time, and that's, I mean, as a streamer, that's important. So I imagine if I have only these two game matches, maybe some other matches from other countries, yeah, I cannot talk so much about it. I can
yeah.
go more into detail about the setup, about the chances, who's winning, who's doing what. But then I really have to get prepared much better because I have to know the people, the players. It's a lot of pre-work. For my regular streams on Saturdays, there's not so much pre-work. Because it's for them not so important that I know all the players. It's for them not so important that I know all the strategies and go into the details like, hey, this left winger is now offensive instead of normal, and this is why, or whatever. So they're not so much into it. That's good. So I don't know. I think.
But honestly, one thing you have to consider if you want, or if you at some point try to stream some of the national team matches, you cannot see the squad during the week because of the fog of war. So people will not be expecting that. And all I can say is it would be very cool to see like a big country represented in that way. Because I know the Italians have.
Me, right?
Yeah, I am. Because well, honestly,
more successful, yeah.
Honestly, I would love to see a game like Hattrick being more present on the modern social media, like Twitch, for instance. Not really because I like to consume Hattrick content myself, and I was glad to see you streaming when I returned. Okay, so there's people streaming Hattrick. I was thinking there must be such an enormous amount of managers streaming their content nowadays. And then I realized there isn't. There's only a select few. So more presence for Hattrick would be awesome. And I know the Danish community, like if I'm not able to stream one Friday evening, because I do stream some national team matches, they will go on to the Swedish stream. And the Swedish stream will almost always have the Danish team in the viewer anyway. Because there is this old animosity. Sometimes we are brothers, sometimes we are arch enemies, right? But we do tend to look at it. But the thing is, if we had more presence, I'm sure we would be able to gain more users. And I'm not saying we should be growing extensively, but adding a few more managers to the great pool, that would be awesome. Yes. And it's fun because I see some of the same people in the chat on Fridays as on Sundays, but you do see different groups of people for the different matches. So
yes, for sure.
And just the fact that for when you do well personally with your club, it's very fun. But you have to consider when the national team is doing well, it's an accumulated effort from a lot of people, and you can really tell that some of these people really take that seriously. So all I'm saying is it's a good way to
really
make some content.
You're really convincing me to try this out, at least to try this out.
Yeah. And Fridays can be a bit rough because if you have something social, and I'm for me personally, I'm trying to see if we can actually build a little team around streaming on Fridays because, yeah, it is Friday 8 o'clock. If you're not busy with something, well, there's always something going on those days, right?
Yeah.
So
that's totally true. I mean, we all have to figure out what is happening in my real life. So, and I am not always, but often after the Saturday stream, I'm kind of exhausted. So it's really like, okay, it's done. Lucky me,
Yeah.
I have to go. Please, no, don't bother me for the next half hour.
Yeah.
So, and doing this on Saturday evening and Friday evening. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Maybe I'm starting on Friday. Just like, hey, we chill. We just look at the matches, look at what's going on, and look at the sides and see what's happening. Who knows? Let's talk about stuff. People would probably also like to talk about their squads, and sometimes they have questions like, hey, what do you think? What I can do with this or that? Hey, check out my youth player that I just got, because it's Friday, so it's the best moment. So maybe I try this out.
Well, try it out, man. I
Yeah.
can only say I've had good experiences doing so
Yeah,
myself.
and I have
So
to say, I was never thinking about that this Hattrick stream could be very successful. It was just starting slow. It's like, okay, I mean, there are radio shows out there in Germany, but no one is streaming in Twitch. And yeah, just let's look at the matches and yeah, maybe I can commentate a bit. And then it started with like 2 or 3 matches and like one league, 4 matches. And now it's 15 matches. It's up to the third league, and people approaching me. It's like, hey, can you add my teams? Yeah, sure. Why not? I still have
yeah.
like, I can only do 20 matches currently. That's will become an issue, but it's getting
Oh, is
bigger
that
and bigger.
the max in the viewer?
Hmm?
Is that the maximum allowed in the viewer?
Yeah.
Well, see, I didn't know that.
Live, it's maximum 20. So I'm not sure what
Okay.
I'm going to do if I reach this
No.
and have to add more. I know that there's a way, but it's
Now you
probably
got me
not
worried.
what the Hattrick wants me to do.
Back in the day, I used to host on the Danish Hattrick Radio, and we had that guy Loke actually made a special piece of software where we could look at a lot of matches, but we had to split it, so we had people only reporting scores into the radio in the I was about to call it IRC, but it's called IRC channels back then. And then there's a goal here, but there were so many matches being reported that you couldn't say anything else but this team scored against this team next. That was
Yeah, and
busy back then.
yeah. At some point, if it goes on like this, at some point I will lose track of the matches, and that's. I mean, I now have a co-commentator. One of our community just said, "Hey, I was working for radio, so I could do some matches. So if he's available, we are splitting up. That's already good, because up to now I still can. I think it's still fine for me. So the quality and how much I talk about each game is still enough, because I managed to. It's funny when the first matches are starting, I still managed to introduce every match, to introduce every to say something about, okay, they play like 3-5-2, and let's look at the ratings. And I managed to do this, and the seventh league is starting later, 15 minutes later. These are like 6 matches, so I have 11 matches starting at 6 p.m. And I managed to do the introduction within these 15 minutes. And then 7th league is starting, and I can do the introduction for the 7th league, or my co-commentator is doing it. So it's manageable, but not much longer. I guess it's just
Yeah.
too much sometimes, but it's okay. It's crazy sometimes, but it's okay. It's still going.
I remember reading out the starting lineups initially, because the start of the matches usually not that many goals and everything, but I had to skip that completely. Like, okay, we're looking at ratings, who's going to win, like a little mini prediction. I think the home team is winning. This is probably a draw. Yeah, so it can get overwhelming. So how do you do that with the co-commentator? Are you doing this over Discord or something?
Yes, we are doing this code
Okay.
Discord. I'm not always happy with the voicing through Discord, but it's okay. So I did not look for a solution. So basically for us, it's only, we are fine with the quality, and yeah, we're doing this through the Discord. So basically, I'm streaming whatever you see, and he's commentating the games of the 7th league, and I'm commentating all the other games. So it's sometimes basically saying like his name is Benny. So yeah, and we go now to this match, and Benny, it's up to you. And then I switch. I have to take care that you see what he's talking about, and yeah, we just kind of yeah, we are pretty good in this, I think. It's like he's talking about a team and I know instantly where I have to switch to, or sometimes I switch to and I introduce like, hey, here's something happening. Benny, tell us about how
That's
is everything
cool.
going here in this match. And then he starts talking.
Hey,
And
I have
he
to
can
find a
inform
co-host on
himself.
my show now. That sounds
At
pretty
some
cool.
point, I would love to have more co-commentators. So I could just
Yeah,
switch to the people and they can talk. I don't have to talk so much,
yeah,
like in
yeah.
a real
That
radio
sounds
show.
pretty nice. You are aware of the background streaming tool in Twitch itself, right?
Oh, okay, yes, I am. But I don't know. I can test it out at some point. Um, yeah, but they have to create the setup and everything, and they are not. Benny's not a streamer, so
No,
it's not like
I think you
he's
could
using streaming. It's like just someone from the community.
I think you can do a lobby where he just have perhaps he could connect his webcam as well, but you could just get his sound on from that. If
Okay.
because the thing is with a Discord call, it's made for call purpose, not a production purpose.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a fun take, and I'm a little jealous of your production. Yeah, the things you have to produce and how you have to do it, because that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I would love to say over to you. What's going on in these live matches? That sounds very cool.
Okay.
I have to like I've been talking to the current under 21s manager, for instance, to do like a gimmick, like if we imagine it's a tunnel interview for the second half. So how do you feel about the progress in the first half? And he's like, oh, well, it's going all right, but we didn't make that many goals, but you can expect some adjustments during the second half if things doesn't go like according to plan or something. So that's the one thing we've been talking about. But having a co-host directly on the show, that sounds like something I have to look into at least. So thank you for that idea.
Yeah,
Very nice.
this is co-commentator. It's really nice, and I mean the seventh league are starting 15 minutes later, so there's not a break between. So when there is after the first half, then still the seventh league is running. So if the seventh league is in break, so we still have the other league. So there's always something to say about the matches. So there's not really a spot where we can just talk with some managers in the break. But and Benny was taking care of this on its own. It's really nice that he did this. He was gathering some interviews, or some interview partner with the other managers, like before the matches or after the matches. Like, and this is really nice. Some people from the
Oh,
community I even got prepared for this, and they were just like, yeah, like tickling the other managers. It's like, yeah, I don't know, his old squad and whatever. So it will be, we will show him how we are playing and whatever. So it's
that's
really nice. It's adding so much, like these interviews, and then in Discord is so much going on. Everyone gets in my Discord channel gets his own spot for his team where they can yeah, of course ask for questions, but definitely show some like a press release and yeah, and adding a lot of value to this.
yeah. And I mean, again, it solidifies the argument that it's the community more than the game itself. And that's an important, like Hattrick is an MMO where like the connections you make with other managers are actually the more important thing, right? So that's very, very nice to hear that you have all these things going on. And honestly, I think I'll have to keep a closer look to the Discord chats on your server as well, because
You
maybe I'll
can get
have
your team
to,
inside.
yeah, yeah, maybe I can try to to steal a little in order to to
Yeah,
make some
do it,
interesting
do it.
things for the
Do
Danish
whatever
community. I
is good.
mean, yeah,
I mean,
stealing
it's
the good
we're not
things.
competing, so there should be much more in everywhere from Hedwig,
Maybe I
in
should say
Discord
borrow
channels,
then.
in YouTube, in Twitch, everywhere. So it's all beneficial
Yeah,
for everyone.
true. All right, MauMau, that was actually a nice take on how we could work with Hattrick content creation as well. Angle, I didn't quite mention that much initially, but a nice twist on our talk here. Is there anything you'd like to add on on the end of this talk we've had? This very nice talk.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, there would be so much more to talk about. I don't know, to who could I address something? It's like to everyone out there enjoying Hattrick, please keep on enjoying it and share with others. That's so important, because if you talk with other managers, this is adding the true value of Hattrick, because it's always about talking about Hattrick is much more important than really playing it. And I love this community. I love this, yeah, the way things are, or the way people are behaving in Hattrick, and yeah, it's an awesome game. I love it.
Right. So Hattrick, the thing that stays constant in your life, and it's more than a game. It's about the community. I think some very big Hattrick content creators said that many times. I think you all know who we're talking about here. Anyway, MauMau, thank you so much for participating. And hopefully we'll see Ockershausen and what was the secondary team called?
Meckendorf.
Meckendorf. I hope we see both of them in the Bundesliga at some point. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much
Take care.
for inviting. Take care.